The NBA is a league that has been around for over 75 years and has seen some of the greatest players of all time. Throughout its history, there have been players who have changed the game in more ways than one. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the NBA players that forced rule changes. These players were so dominant that the league had to change its rules in order to level the playing field. So, let's dive in and find out the NBA players that forced rule changes. Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was one of the most dominant players in NBA history. He was so good that the league had to change some of its rules just to stop him. Chamberlain was known for his incredible size and strength, and he used it to dominate the game in ways that had never been seen before. One of the rule changes that was made because of Chamberlain was the widening of the lane. This was done to prevent Chamberlain from camping out under the basket and scoring at will. With the lane widened, it became much more difficult for players to stay in one spot and dominate the game like Chamberlain did. Another rule change that was made because of Chamberlain was the introduction of offensive goaltending. This was done to prevent Chamberlain from simply grabbing the ball out of the air and dunking it before it even had a chance to touch the rim. With this rule in place, Chamberlain had to be more careful about when he went for the ball, which made him slightly less dominant. Despite these rule changes, Chamberlain still managed to put up some incredible numbers during his career. He remains one of the greatest players in NBA history, and his impact on the game is still felt today. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal was another dominant big man who forced the NBA to change its rules. Shaq was known for his incredible size and strength, and he used it to overpower opponents on a regular basis. In fact, he was so dominant that he forced the NBA to change the way it officiated the game. One of the rule changes that was made because of Shaq was the introduction of the hack-a-Shaq rule. This rule allowed teams to intentionally foul poor free throw shooters like Shaq in order to send them to the line and prevent them from scoring in the post. While this rule was not specifically aimed at Shaq, he was one of the players that it was most often used against. Another rule change that was made because of Shaq was the widening of the restricted area. This was done to prevent Shaq from camping out under the basket and dunking everything in sight. With the restricted area widened, it became more difficult for players like Shaq to simply dominate the game by overpowering their opponents. Despite these rule changes, Shaq remained one of the most dominant players in NBA history. He won 4 championships during his career and was a 15-time All-Star. His impact on the game is still felt today, and he remains one of the most beloved players in NBA history. Do you think the away from the play foul rule has been effective in preventing teams from exploiting the hack-a-Shaq strategy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, and he forced the NBA to change its rules in a number of ways. Jordan was known for his incredible athleticism and scoring ability, and he used it to dominate the game in ways that had never been seen before. One of the rule changes that was made because of Jordan was the introduction of the illegal defense rule. This rule prevented teams from double-teaming a player like Jordan without actually guarding him. With this rule in place, Jordan was given more space to operate and was able to score even more points. Another rule change that was made because of Jordan was the expansion of the replay review system. Jordan was known for his acrobatic moves, and sometimes the officials missed calls that could have affected the outcome of the game. With the expansion of the replay review system, officials were able to review close calls and ensure that the right call was made. Finally, Jordan also forced the NBA to change the way it marketed its players. Jordan's charisma and star power made him a household name, and the NBA took notice. The league began to focus more on individual players and their personalities, rather than just the teams themselves. This change in marketing strategy helped to create a new generation of basketball fans and cemented Jordan's legacy as one of the greatest players of all time. Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a small but mighty player who forced the NBA to change its rules in a unique way. Iverson was known for his quickness and agility on the court, and he used it to make some incredible moves that left his opponents in the dust. One of the rule changes that was made because of Everson was the hand-checking rule. Prior to Everson's career, defenders were allowed to use their hands to slow down players on the court. However, Everson's quickness and agility made it nearly impossible for defenders to keep up with him while hand-checking. As a result, the NBA changed the rules to disallow hand-checking, giving smaller players like Everson more space to operate and making the game more exciting for fans. Another rule change that was made because of Everson was the way the league enforced the dress code. Everson was known for his unique sense of style, both on and off the court, and his appearance caused controversy among fans and officials. However, the league eventually enforced a dress code that required players to wear more formal attire when attending games and official NBA events. This change helped to improve the league's image and create a more professional atmosphere. James Harden. James Harden is known for his unique style of play that often involves drawing fouls from defenders. In order to prevent Harden from constantly getting to the free throw line, the NBA introduced a new rule in the 2019 to 2020 season that limits the number of non-basketball moves that players can use to draw fouls. This rule has been dubbed the James Harden Rule and is designed to prevent players from using trickery to draw fouls and gain an unfair advantage. Another rule change that has been proposed because of Harden is the idea of a four-point line. Harden is known for his long-range shooting ability, and somehow suggested that the NBA should introduce a four-point line to reward players for making shots from even farther away. While this rule has not yet been implemented, it's possible that we could see a four-point line in the future as players like Harden continue to push the limits of what's possible on the court. LeBron James. LeBron James is one of the most dominant players in NBA history, and he has forced the league to change its rules in a number of ways. James is known for his incredible size and athleticism, and he uses it to overpower his opponents on a regular basis. One of the rule changes that was made because of James was the way officials enforce traveling violations. James' unique playing style often involves a lot of steps and jumps, which can be difficult for officials to determine whether or not he's traveling. As a result, the NBA made changes to the way traveling violations are called, giving officials more leeway to determine what constitutes a travel and what doesn't. Another rule change that was made because of James was the introduction of the heat check rule. James' incredible scoring ability often led to him going on hot streaks where he would score multiple baskets in a row. To prevent James from getting too hot and running away with the game, the NBA introduced a rule that requires a player to cool off after scoring a certain number of points in a row. This change helped to level the playing field and prevent one player from dominating the game too much. So, there you have it, folks. These are just a few of the NBA players who have forced the league to change its rules in order to accommodate their unique playing styles. From Wilt Chamberlain to James Harden, these players have left an indelible mark on the game of basketball, and their contributions will be remembered for generations to come. Now, I want to hear from you, the audience. Which of these rule changes do you think had the most significant impact on the game of basketball? Do you think that there are any other NBA players who have forced the league to change its rules in significant ways? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all of our latest content. Thanks for watching.